Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to KUMB TV Live. It has finished. West Ham United 2. Everton 1. The Hammers back up to 5th in the Premier League. What an important win that is for West Ham. Goals coming either side of the half-time interval. And West Ham, as we say, moving 3 places up the table, back above Wolves, back above Manchester United, back above Spurs into 5th and 10th. Where's the camera? It's over there. I'm in a different place today. Everything's all up and turned upside down. Talking about being turned upside down, there's my erstwhile colleague just joining us live on the stream. He is live at the London Olympic Stadium. There's a big smile emerging on that face, I think, this afternoon after what he's seen. Mr. Pink Palermo, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah, good afternoon. I mean, well, bit of a cold day, and I've got to say, bit of a miserable game, if I'm being honest. I mean, I think the result was right, but never in a million years are Everton in a false position. They're 4th bottom; they deserve to be.
Yeah.
And today reminded me of the old Mark Twain adage about never argue with an idiot. Never argue with an idiot because he'll drag you down to his level and beat you with experience. Well, seemingly, when you play poor football teams, it's much the same. There was no real heart or spirit in the Everton team. Consequently, our lads, Declan Rice, I was sweating more in the stands. It's only 3 degrees here today. It's probably the most comfortable afternoon Declan's going to have for West Ham without ever having to do anything. Everton, desperately poor. And one has to say, Frank Lampard's Everton, I should say. Frank Lampard's
Everton. As they should be known for the rest of this stream, of course.
Indeed. They are facing the prospect, a very realistic prospect of life in the Championship, because I saw nothing in their play today that said, we want to do it for you, Big Frank. Yeah. Nothing in their play at all. And West Ham won that at a canter today. I bumped into a couple of Everton bars here, the lads in the bar here afterwards, who were saying, well, we weren't dominated and things like that. I think, well, maybe not, but, when did you set the pulse racing? When did you give your own supporters anything to be excited about?
They were incredibly poor today, weren't they? I mean, they were somewhat fortunate to get back into the game, but they were kind of architects of their own demise throughout, weren't they? I mean, the second goal, particularly, Iwobi giving the ball away for Mikel Antonio to be able to charge through. The thing is, Pinky, when you're playing like that, you're in trouble, aren't you? Because it doesn't matter how good you are at the other end, and of course they haven't been particularly good at the other end. But when they're making mistakes like that, that's criminal. And it's looking bad for Everton, isn't it? They're really.
I'm getting a bit of interference here, which I can only apologise for. And anyone that interferes again will be live on air. Okay, so I mean. If there's one thing we know more about than Everton Football Club, it's relegation scraps. So we've seen plenty of them over the years. They've not seen that many. And what you tend to notice is whether the team's got heart, whether they've got the desire to want to stay up. And the second goal they gave away today, first, Antonio should have buried it himself. He should have buried it himself. Full marks to Bowen. He's bang on the spot where he needs to be. He's followed through and taken the opportunity well. I have to say, Aaron Cresswell, his opening goal for us, super free kick, brilliant free kick. And that's we've missed that in games when he's not been available. So an absolute doddle of an afternoon for West Ham United. We talk about a false scoreline. It's 2-1, but let's be honest, we weren't even trying today.
Yeah, and in fact, in some ways, it was the perfect precursor to Thursday night, wasn't it? If you ever want an easy game going into a huge European tie, that would have been it today for West Ham.
If you're David Moyes, you're sitting there going, great, I've given Gerard Bowen 70 minutes, which is what I wanted to give him.
Yeah,
he scored a goal, boosted his confidence, and I've dragged him off. I've managed to get away with another game with Saeed Benrahma in the team. I have to say, Benrahma, the Everton goal, who gave the ball away? Saeed Benrahma. He was given a perfectly good pass by Declan Rice. All he had to do was control the ball and lay it off to a teammate. Failed to do it. And 10 seconds later, Everton have got the ball in the net. And for those of you that I give Said a hard time. That's why I give him a hard time.
Yeah,
because it's moments. It's moments. For the rest of the team there today, Zuma another decent performance. Dawson did enough. We were average today, really. But Everton, I've got to say, if I was an Everton Football Club supporter, I'd be heading back up the M1 and the M6, extremely worried. And I'd be looking at Burnley's fixtures and Watford's fixtures, and I'd be going, where can they drop points? Because if either of those two clubs put a half-decent run together, and at that end of the table, a good run is 2 wins on the spin.
Yeah.
2 wins on the spin by Watford or Burnley could see Everton dragged into the bottom 3. And I don't think they've got the heart and desire to get out of it, for being honest.
No, I think you're right, mate. It's beginning to look very, very troubled. There's a huge game coming up against Burnley very, very soon. Let's just take a quick look at the goals again. You've touched on them briefly there, but the opening goal of the game, 32 minutes, Aaron Cresswell. It's been a while since he scored a free kick like that, isn't it? But Pickford absolutely no chance. I saw someone on the forum refer to Pickford's efforts to save the free kick as akin to a kid over the park who knows he's got absolutely no chance of getting there and just diving anyway for the sake of it. But absolutely pinpoint precision by Cresswell and took it fantastically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to be honest. It's been 20 years since England had goalkeepers that would dominate matches.
Yeah.
So there's a period when England had probably 3 better goalkeepers than Pickford sat on the bench. Yeah, those days are long gone. And Pickford, he's got some good points, but he'd be disappointed conceding from there. I think credit to Aaron Cresswell. He's got it in exactly the right spot. He's done exactly what he needed to do. And he had another good opportunity in the second half as well for a similar one.
He did, didn't he? And in fact, that was probably slightly closer than the first one. But, 1 out of 2 is not bad, I guess, from that range, is it? Can't complain. You touched on it briefly. 8 minutes into the second half, West Ham should have been comfortable at that point, but kind of shot ourselves in the foot. Holgate, who prior to that point had actually been hobbling for most of the game. I think that had been his most notable contribution, but stepped up to put us level. What did you make of the goal?
It's where we actually conceded the ball and how we conceded the ball. Some managers are very unforgiving of players giving away the ball in their own half. We're in possession in our own half. Do not give the ball away, because there's no danger if you're in possession. But as soon as you surrender possession, then suddenly you find you've got 5 players the wrong side of the ball, as we did. And it's a relatively quick moment for Everton to move the ball 2 or 3 times, and they're in. Maybe I'm harsh to say it, but maybe I'm not. Maybe that's why the talk is of him being moved on in the window, and I, for one, wouldn't mourn his passing, so to speak. I don't think, never have thought, he's quite good enough. I'm not saying he's a bad player, I'm not saying he's rubbish. I just think he falls into that category of being not quite good enough.
Okay, all right, good stuff. Well, we'll see what happens, of course, very, very soon, because summer's creeping up on us, isn't it? Very, very, very quickly. We're pretty much into the last month or so of the season now, but anyway, we'll come to that in due course. The winning goal, fortunately, West Ham didn't have to wait that long for that second goal to come, and you kind of felt that the crowd was getting a little bit uneasy. That's what it seemed like to me when Everton equalised. You obviously got a much better impression of that, and can give us your view on that. But Jarrod Bowen, we said it was an Iwobi mistake, lost possession, criminally lost possession in a terrible position. Carl Antonio, to his credit, did really well to receive the ball early, good surging run towards goal. I don't think there was anyone in that stadium who thought he was going to put the ball in the back of the net. Fortunately, one of those was Jarrod Bowen, who was following up. And, credit to J-Rod. He did fantastically well to get on the end of it, but slightly fortuitous perhaps to get the deflection right into his path. But a decent goal for West Ham. I mean, it's those moments that make the difference, isn't it? You've got to be on the ball. And Antonio, to his credit, I mean, let's concentrate on the positives there. Did a great job of picking the ball up and surging towards goal. Made the keeper, made the save, and there was Bowen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, you're right to pick up on the atmosphere of the stadium at that point, because there wouldn't have been a West Ham support in the stadium this afternoon. But at 1-1 was thinking, the West Ham of old, these are the games that we should be putting to bed. And these are the games that traditionally been mugged in, where four teams like Everton have rocked up, scraped more than a draw, usually scraped a win and gone home up the M6 laughing their heads off. Well, not today, because, as you rightly say, Mickey Antonio there, he was a handful for Everton all afternoon. And yet another team that couldn't really cope with him. And when he burst through, this is where his lack of being a true striker hurts, because he isn't going to finish it first time. Whereas, okay, to be cruel, let's compare him with Alan Shearer. There you go. Let's compare him with Tony Cottee. There you go. We're compared against the very best. Take that. The best strikers are going, thank you very much. That's the goal bonus. That's another £2,000 in the tin this week. Wife can go buy a new dress, whatever it may be. And Tony, on the other hand, his wife must say you're cooking your own dinner, because he's not getting the goal bonus at the minute. Because Jared Bowen, I know who's actually going to have a nice night out tonight, and hopefully they do, because he came back today, and I have to say, the difference he makes to our team is immense.
Did you think there was any lingering evidence of the injury, or did you feel he was fully fit and ready to go?
I think he was as fit as you can be. You've been out for the best part of a month. The manager's played absolutely right. It was more about Thursday night than today. Stuck him on. There's the old story about how do you get match fit. Well, you've got to play matches. You need minutes on the pitch, and he's given him 70 minutes today. I don't think he could do 90 on Thursday, if I'm being honest. He might only get an hour out of him Thursday. But he looks okay to me today. No real problems. And he brings a lot to the team. He really does.
All right. Last real big event of the match, we covered the 3 goals. There was a red card, which we haven't seen too many of this season. Michael Keane's second bookable offence. Any controversy as far as you're concerned with those, or is it 2 straight yellows and a deserved dismissal?
Yeah, just a couple of yellows and off you go, son. And what I would say about Everton, there were a lot of niggly fouls this afternoon. A bit like under the days when Bobby Brownshoes was the manager, and they'd rotate the fouls and all the rest of it. They're one of those clubs that do it, how can I put it, professionally. They know what they're doing. It's coached into them. And I'd like to see a referee strong enough today to say, thanks very much, you've had 2 goes, you can go, son. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it changed the outcome of the game whatsoever. I think there's only ever going to be 1 win this afternoon. Because it comes down to desire, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to get stuck at the young Frank Lampard again. A couple of times in the media in recent weeks, he's criticised his players in post-match interviews, which more experienced managers tend never to do. Because who are you going to run hard for? A manager that believes in you, at least has common sense not to criticise you in public, or the one who's basically going down, dare I say it, the Glenn Hoddle route of trying to prove, or was certainly believing he was a better player than anyone who's in charge of. And Frank Lampard was a magnificent footballer. There isn't a player in the Everton team to hold a candle to him. Nowhere near. But we all know that. Frank's challenge is to make them better players than what they are. And dissing them in public isn't wise. And my honest view is it will cost them their place in the Premier League and cost Frank Lampard any managerial career. Because he's taking them down at this rate, he really is.
Okay, well, as I said, we'll come to that in a minute. We'll look at the bottom of the table just to see who we fancy for the job. But in terms of the other end of the table, you can't really underestimate the importance of this win today, can you? West Ham went into the game 8th place, dropped to our lowest position this season, given Wolves' win yesterday. Manchester United did us a bit of a favour drawing at home to Leicester. To be fair, they were lucky not to get beaten, but they dropped points, of course. But this win moves West Ham back above Wolves. Man U and Tottenham into fifth. Now we're just 3 points behind Arsenal in fourth. They've got 3 games in hand on us, but still got to win them. Of course, Chelsea did us a favour. Not that you expect us to catch them, but Tottenham play late today against Newcastle. Of course, if they take a point from that, they would go back above us. But not the easiest of fixtures, is it, at the moment? Newcastle seem to be kind of rejuvenated in a sense, and no fears now. They're not going to get relegated. They're pretty safe, one would assume. Let me see that one going for Spurs.
I think a tough game for Spurs because, some of the clubs you've mentioned there, it's what I call good old-fashioned team spirit. We've got plenty of it at the minute. The players are happy to run for each other, run for the manager.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal Football Club at the minute, they're getting a bit of team spirit together, and that's helping climb the table. Manchester United, no team spirit whatsoever, and we saw that yesterday. Yeah. Tottenham, I'd say somewhere between the two. But I think Newcastle United, fully half of them will be playing for a contract, really. Because they know they're now the most moneyed club in the world. Mm-hmm. Some of them will be saying, I want to stay here, I want to do things here. Yeah. And their manager would have said, well, prove it. Prove to me that you're good enough, because I could go and buy any player in the world now. And this pre-match talk is easy. If you want to be here next season, win me points this season. It's that simple. So you'll have the Newcastle players running around like wearing dervishes this afternoon. An early goal from there, that can make it very difficult for Tottenham because does Antonio Conte really sound like he's fully committed to Tottenham Hotspur? No. Players pick up on those signals. So I fancy Newcastle certainly to get a point, maybe a win. That would help us. I think our rival, if I can call it that, for the top 4 spot is Arsenal. I think they've got a couple of games in hand. They'll probably edge us out of the top 4. But I think, I know certainly for me, I've got an eye on the Europa League. It's a backdoor into the Champions League. And more importantly, 4th spot is not a trophy. The Europa League is.
Yeah.
I know what I'd rather win.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, we'll see what happens because it's still incredibly tight and we've given ourselves a chance yet again, haven't we? Probably not the top 4. I think that would be reaching a little bit, as you say, but certainly back in the race for the top 6. Man United not looking good. Tottenham still dropping points. So who knows? Of course, I guess the biggest problem could be Wolves because they've come from nowhere, haven't they, this season to be a real kind of permanent thorn in our side.
They're a very difficult team to score against. And so, they're almost like the Arsenal of old, the old 1-0 to the Arsenal. Well, these days, it's 1-0 to the Wolves. And, they'll keep chipping away right to the end of the season. But it just goes to show how competitive this league is. Yes, you can say the top 2 are kind of over the hill and far away, but anything outside of those top 2, everyone can beat everyone. And there's some competitive teams in this league. It just makes it such a hard league.
Yeah,
it really does. Whereby when you look at it, when's the easy game? When's the easy game in the Premier League? There isn't one.
No.
Ever.
Well, I guess, we probably had it today. You had to pick one, wouldn't you? I guess that, of course, Everton are no mugs. Still a team full of quality players. I'm just looking at the table now, actually, Pinky, and it's quite astonishing. Wolves back down to 8th place with 49 points. Then there's a 12-point gap between themselves and Leicester in 9th. Leicester have got a couple of games in hand, but that's quite astonishing. It's a huge gap. For those positions, anyway.
Yeah, and it comes back to one thing: squad depth. And the clubs that have avoided serious injuries stay at the top half of the table comfortably. The clubs in the lower half of the table usually have a small squad or a long injury list. And it's back to the physicality of our football in this country. You just run out of players, you run out of legs, and we've nearly come a cropper because of it. We've seen the injury to Bowen has banjaxed us. The injury to Sufar has seen us have to bloody youngster for most of the season, and he's done very well. Not every club's going to be in that fortunate position, and it's why when we venture into the summer market, we've got to look at this and we need maybe 8 players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly will. Well, we're joined by another member of the team outside. Looks like Stratford Station, if I'm recognising that font correctly. Could be wrong. How you doing, Rio? Good to see you.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, very well, very well. You're immediate from Stratford Station. Is it? Where are you? Is that the shop? You're outside.
Yeah, I'm interested in the shuttle bus back nowadays, so I'm just waiting for my shuttle bus back to International so I can go to a point.
Good stuff.
So I'm outside the stadium store.
Well, glad. Oh, I've got it totally wrong. I thought it was outside the tube station. Of course not. Nowhere near it. West Ham United 2. There you go. We can see now. West Ham United 2, Everton 1. Your thoughts on what you've seen this afternoon, Rio?
Let's put it this way. The greatest thing I can take out of today's game is how shockingly poor Everton are. They are a club in a complete, utter mess. We didn't get out of second gear, really. We didn't have to because Everton just made it so easy for us. Had a couple of scares. But all in all, a bit of a consummate performance. And once we got that second goal, we took the foot off the pedal. So we've had a nice little relaxing 25 minutes. And it's the first time in living memory that we've been at a 2-1 up with a few minutes to go. The referee announces the additional minutes. And instead of going, oh, God, here we go, it's going to happen, everyone kind of went, oh, fair enough. Right? What are you doing afterwards? So that's how comfortable it was today.
Yeah, we were saying just before you came on, Pinky and I, that if you wanted to pick a fixture, a Premier League game to have prior to such a huge game as Thursday's is going to be, at the moment you probably couldn't do much better than Everton at home, could you? Because they were just just all at sea, weren't they today? Clearly a team full of talented players, but no cohesion. Lampard's certainly not got a grip of what he's got there, and architects of their own downfall this afternoon. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, as an attacking force, they've got a wealth of options. They've got the likes of Carlson's a great player. Demarai Gay, I thought had a good game.
Yeah,
they've got a lot going forwards. A lot they could have troubled us with, and they did at times. But as a defensive unit, I don't think I've seen such a shocking display. I noticed on the advertising hoardings around the ground, there was advertising the Soccer A game in I think it's in June.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure the members of One Direction that will play at the back for the Soccer Aid International 11 would do a better job than what Everton managed today, because they were absolutely dire. And they look like a team that don't know who each other is, let alone how to work as an absolute unit together. So it's shockingly defensively. And Jordan Pickford, again, he's the most agile member of that particular back line. But even he was all at sea. His distribution was rank. He's got nothing. He can't even shout at players, because what have you got left to shout at? Because they're all shell-shocked. They look like a unit which has been to hell and back and wants to go back for more.
In real trouble now, aren't they, Everton? Just 3 points above the drop zone. Of course, they've got a couple of games in hand on the teams, Watford and Norwich anyway, not Burnley. But of course, if you're playing like that, then you're not going to pick up points. Let's turn quickly, gentlemen, to man of the match. Rio, I'll come to you first, as we've got Pinky on mute at the moment. But who stood out for you? I think the official man of the match was Michael Dawson, wasn't he? What about yourself? What did you think?
I don't think anyone really shone today, but I'm giving Aaron Cresswell just for the world-class free kick. But I just thought he had a really kind of comfortable game and pretty assured at the back. He always brings that kind of balance to our team. And with him in the side, we looked so much better. But he didn't do a foot wrong today. The only other candidate for me was Ryan Fredericks, who, to be honest, he had a couple of moments where he frightened the life out of us. But on 3 or 4 occasions, he made absolute world-class pieces of defending, which at one stage saved our bacon. But he did everything else really well.
It's an interesting one, actually. I was on the forum throughout the match while I was watching the game, and there was a lot of stick coming in for Fredericks for those early errors that you've mentioned. He almost let Richarlison in, didn't he, when he played that poor touch? But he recovered. But as someone on the forum said, it was like it was the best game he's ever played and the worst game he's ever played at the same time. He kind of, but I felt he did well. There was a couple of really good tackles he put in. There was one good stop. I think it was at the start of the second half where he stuck a foot in on the edge of the box and just nicked the ball off the striker's foot. Can't remember who it was, but I thought he did well. Pinky, man of the match for you, and also I was going to ask you about this, so we'll do the two together. Your thoughts on Ryan?
I mean, my man of the match today, again, I'm going to stick to Antonio. I thought Antonio he's the reason we're top half, if I'm being honest. Because oppositions just cannot handle him. They really cannot handle him. So he would be my man of the match. But Brian Fredericks, not for my money. I mean, the moment you just referred to, where he put his leg out and knocked the ball. I think it went to 4-0. He just broke up their attack.
Yeah.
Crucial moment. But ask yourself, David Moyes, you've got a crucial fixture coming up. You've got 3 candidates to play at right back. Which one are you picking? I'll be very surprised if he ever picks Ryan Fredericks. Okay? It's not going to happen. He cannot defend at this level. And again, it's a super athlete, got bags of pace. I'd honestly try and convert him to a player further up the field, but he then lacks the ability to put a decent cross. Yeah. So it's kind of like he's an in-betweener. He can't do it properly at either end of the field, but he can run up and down. I'm sorry, at this level you need more than that.
Okay. Talking about Thursday, let's just stick with that for a minute. Who would you play? Let's assume that Ben Johnson's back from. We understand he had a knock playing for the under-21s, and also Soufal back on the bench today. Who would you pick out of the two? But for Leon, we're talking about Ben Johnson.
Yeah, because really he's in possession of the shirt at the minute. I think he's done very well for us in recent weeks, and with an eye to the future, I'd be looking to have him maybe as our first choice selection there, and maybe Soufal as the backup, if I'm being honest. I know in the final third he lacks a little bit, but he's looked pretty solid at the back for my money recently. I'd trust Johnson.
All right, okay. We'll come to it in just one other thing I want to ask you about, Rio. I'll come to you on that question in just a moment. But Pinky, while I've got you on, the crowd seemed a little bit muted today. Is that something that came across? Was that the Sunday lunchtime thing?
Bit of Sunday lunchtime, bit of it's Everton, bit of not a particularly good game. Bit of everything really, but also this is what happens when you play the European games. Because suddenly, you've been married for 20 years and you meet a new bird who suddenly looks really attractive. Yeah, and the bird you've been with for 20 years suddenly isn't quite as attractive. You know what I mean?
I've no idea what you mean. But I get the point. I get the point you make.
Yeah.
I have to say that. The wife might be listening.
But it's kind of like, people are looking to Thursday night. They're looking for Thursday night. And, we might see a different atmosphere then. But, it's Sunday lunchtime. It's cold. It's Everton. We'd all rather be at home in front of the fire, to be honest.
Yeah. While we're on the subject, did you get your tickets sorted out for Leon?
Oh yeah, I'm sorted. Yeah.
Good. Well, at least we'll have one of the number out there for the away leg anyway. Rio, what do you make on that? The crowd today. I mean, do you think it was a little bit? Maybe everyone's keeping their powder dry for Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Pinky just nailed it. In the Sunday lunchtime thing, never does us any favours unless it's one of our rivals or some of the bigger clubs.
Yeah.
But you know, Sunday lunchtimes, it's against a nothing side. It's just one of them things. We used to get them plenty of times over the bone in against certain opposition. It's just a bit stale, isn't it? And it doesn't do anyone any favours. But you know for a fact on a Thursday night that place will be absolutely electric. Today we've seen it time and time again, particularly since the moves here.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean a lot.
No, good stuff. Well, we've mentioned it there, so we might as well move on to that now. We've had a couple of the biggest game in the last 20 years, haven't we, already this season? The Sevilla games both probably fell into that category. Another one coming up this Thursday. Lyon of Ligue 1 coming to the London Olympic Stadium. Massive game. What sort of team are you thinking of, Rio? Assuming everyone's available, would it be the same team as today? Do you make a couple of changes? How do we approach that? And also, what sort of result do we need to get in order to be able to go to France for that second leg and secure passage through to the semis?
First of all, I mean, as long as we go to France, at least on an even keel, we're not out of the tie. You know,
Right.
This team can beat anybody in their day.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you'd like to go with at least a 2-goal cushion, just to be steady the nerves a little. In terms of the lineup, you know, he's made it absolutely clear that Areola's his cup keeper.
Yeah.
After the save he made in the Seville game, rightly so. So you stick with him. Right back, I think is right. Really, I mean, much as I want to see Soufal in that setup because I think he offers us a lot more defensively and going forward. Ben Johnson's the man in possession. The rest of the back four picks itself, and the rest of the team virtually picks itself. Lanzini is obviously not available because suspended. So I think it'd be very much like for like as today, apart from Areola in and a change of right back.
Okay, good stuff. I should say hello to everyone joining us on the live stream. I've not said so yet, so thank you to everyone for joining us. Let us know what you thought of today's game. Who was your man of the match? What do you think we're going to need to do on Thursday night against Lyon to make sure we go to France with a chance? We're going to ask Pinky the same question now. Massive game yet again, Pinky, on Thursday night. What's your thoughts on the team and what we need to do?
Yeah, I think Areola's the cup keeper and deserves to keep his place after the brilliant save that he pulled off the other week. As I say, I'd go with Johnson at back, and I'd probably bring Vlasic for Ben Rama. And forget about that confirmation bias on my point. I've got it in for Benny. So you just watch. We'll pick Benny, we'll score 3 goals, and I'll be made to eat my words.
Oh, we'd take it though, wouldn't we? We'd take that.
But I absolutely take the view that just play normally. Play normally on Thursday night. Don't get too wrapped up in all this. We need this, we need that. It's a game of football at home. I expect us to try and win it. In front of our own supporters. And if we win it, great. If we don't, well, okay, we've got more work to do overseas, but just winning the game at home. 1-0, 2-1. Lyon will not be mugged, so Lyon will be a difficult team, and we'll ride the manager, the Lord and all that. It's vital the players realise we're playing Lyon, not Barcelona. It's Lyon we're playing on Thursday night, not Barcelona.
Yeah.
Keep them focused on the job in hand, because there's a supporter on Bundes who hasn't booked the Barcelona team. We've got to get past Lyon first. And the players need to understand that.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the fans probably as well. But let's hope. Do you think the fact that there's no, the away goals rule doesn't exist this season, is that going to work in our favour going away in the second leg, do you think?
Yeah, it does. I think so. Because I think teams will just play their normal game.
Yeah.
Just say, do you know what? Go play a game of football and you know, if I had a concern, it'd be a team that actually did turn up and say, we're putting 10 men behind the ball, home and away, come and break us down. Because where we have struggled is teams that have done just that. Teams that haven't wanted to play the game have struggled to beat. Teams that wanted to give us a game pretty much has beaten all comers from, I don't know, Liverpool to wherever you care to name. But wherever they've just shut up shop and said, you know what, we're not interested in playing football, we're coming here just to kill the game, put everyone to sleep. Those are the teams that struggle against. So if Leon adopt that, would be in trouble. But they're top scorers. You know, they score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
You don't do that by playing defensive football. So I think we've got a good chance here tonight.
Yeah, it certainly promises to be an incredible night and hopefully a successful one for West Ham. That's Thursday night, of course. We will be live with you, hopefully, for Eyes Up Mother Brown for that one. Going back to today's game, a couple of comments on the live chat. Steve Palmer says that Zuma was good today. Dawson was decent enough. Of course, Michael Dawson was given the man of the match award by the TV broadcasters today. Hammer Ted says, hi guys, I thought Zuma had a good game. Solid in defence and confident while playing out with the ball. So a couple of shouts for the defence there for Zuma. Of course, was booed quite a bit, wasn't he, by the Everton fans? Again, I think we're going to be getting that for the rest of the season. Apologies for the sound issues. That's just the fact that where the guys are in very busy locations. I've muted them both temporarily, as you can tell. So hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. We'll just have a couple of quick comments from the forum before I come back to Rio and Pinky. Hopefully we can get Pinky back. He seems to have frozen right now. But Upton Carp talking about today's game says, I think we were trying to play within ourselves a little bit to be on top form for Leon. Nobody really busting a gut, and Dawson's man of the match sums that up, in my opinion. I'm going to ask, actually, before we go, I'm going to ask the chaps about that, because I kind of sort of got that impression a little bit myself. There was a couple of challenges, I think one from Ben Rama in the second half, particularly where he sort of went to go in for a challenge and then sort of seemed to pull out of it. Rio, was that your impression at all today, that there was, maybe one or two of our players were sort of playing a little bit within themselves, as Upton Carp suggests, in light of this huge game coming up?
Just bear with me 1 second, mate.
No worries. That's it. We've got you now.
Yeah, just trying to hold the bus.
Okay, no worries.
With my dodgy balance, could end up in hilarious results.
Do you want me to go to Pinky briefly and come back to you?
Yeah, if you can, mate.
All right, we'll do. Pinky, did you get that impression that one or two of our players were perhaps not given 100%?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There were 2 or 3 occasions when challenges were there to be made, and weren't. And now, got to be fair to the players here, because the manager might just have briefed them and said, carefully, Everton team, 50-50s, you go in hard, they're going to claim there's a sniper in the stand, and you'll get a yellow card. So don't invite it. Yeah. And I wouldn't put that past boys, because this is a very professionally organised West Ham United team these days. Yeah. These are things that we're not used to, actually players getting given dossiers on their opponents and actually, briefed in training sessions. Watch out for this, and this. But there were 2 or 3 of them who just thought, you've held back there a touch.
Yeah.
At the same token, there was one challenge in the second half. I think it was Bowen made it. He's at full tilt and he's gone absolutely in for it. So who knows? But easy from the stands to say he's pulled back and all the rest of it. Yeah. Players might just take the view, I don't need to go into that, because if I win the ball in that part of the field, what difference is it really going to make?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair point. Rio, comfortably seated now, it seems, on the omnibus. Is that perhaps a psychological thing? Do you think? We've seen it before. Ahead of big cup finals, players, perhaps going in a little bit easier. You don't want to miss games like this, do you? This Leon tie, and I suppose it's perhaps understandable if a couple of players aren't sort of, going into the challenges, fully committed in certain circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, you don't want to miss these big games, but also what we've got left the rest of the season, we've got not only the Europa League, we've still got this push for this European spot. And it wasn't a game today where you needed to be all full thunder, hearty challenges and making your mark on the opposition, because they made it a little bit easier for us. Yeah. So I think that's all played into our hands a little bit as well. I think, as Pinky said as well, a bit of more professionalism sneaking in. Plus, we adapted to the circumstances. We didn't have to go full tilt because Everton are that poor at the moment that they allowed us to take the foot off the pedal a little bit.
Yeah, they were, weren't they? We did say we'd come back to this, so just before we wrap up, we'll do the relegation thing. Fortunately for once, it's absolutely nothing to do with us whatsoever. We can breathe a sigh of relief and watch everyone else struggle for a change. Are Everton that bad, Rio, that they could? Well, of course, they could drop. Will they drop this season? Do you see any of the three teams below them, Watford, Burnley, and Norwich, sort of usurping them and getting the necessary points and to send them down?
I think the only team capable of out the bottom three to pull themselves out will be Burnley, because they've got previous form for it.
Yeah,
they have a core of hard-working players who will fight for the cause and give everything. I just think that possibly they're a little bit too far adrift. But looking at Everton's remaining games, they're banging trouble. They haven't got the right mentality for at the club. They've brought in a manager to try and do a little bit of firefighting and rescue. Yep. We had no grasp of what he needed. So Frank Lampard's mantra of we're going to win every game 7-6 because he can't trust the defence to keep goals out. He's brought in Donny van der Beek and Dele Alli, the last two players in the world he needed. He needed to secure that back line, build from the back. He hasn't done that at all.
Yeah,
I just feel that they might be lucky this season. They've got three worst teams around them.
Yeah, I guess, of course, talking about the defences where they're going to be without Keane, aren't they, for the next game as well? And
that's a blessing in disguise after the last few games.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, that next game is a massive one. They go to Burnley this Wednesday, and then, of course, talking about the rest of the fixtures: Man United, Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester again. They're playing Leicester. They've got 2 games against Leicester. That's interesting. Home to Brentford, then away to Arsenal. It's an absolute shocker of a fixture list, isn't it, for what they've got left? They're going to have to rely on results elsewhere, aren't they, by the looks of it?
Absolutely. I don't think you could have asked for a possibly worse running that they've got.
Yeah.
And I just can't see where they're going to get another result, because they look all at sea. As soon as we went a goal up, there was players looking at each other, throwing their arms up in the air, looking in dismay. Yeah. Obviously, when they equalised, the mentality changed, but it quickly got brought down to another level. And the club is an absolute mess, and it's been an institution at the top level of English football for about 100 years now. And I don't think it's ever been more fragile. Possibly that season when they could have gone down and they beat Wimbledon straight up, but they're mentally fragile at the moment as well.
Eggs and Nuts on the KUMB forum says Everton with all their quality players too good to go down. Now, where have we heard that before? And Hobo posting on the live chat says Everton have games in hand. Sadly, I think they will stay up. Some do, some don't. Pinky, what side of the fence are you sitting in terms of Everton's Premier League prospects?
Burnley Football Club have got a vast experienced manager now in Sean Dyche. Been there, seen it, done it, knows the job, will hold his nerve. Watford Football Club have got a vast experienced manager in Roy Hodgson. Less experience of avoiding relegation, I think, but he knows the job. He's been managing football teams for 50 years. Everton have got Frank Lampard. Went to an okay school. Was lucky that a family relative managed a very good football club. Yep. That family relative also had the habit of being everyone else's fault but his. And young Frank has inherited that in terms of his post-match comments. I think his players will have heard that. I think his players aren't running for him. I don't think they're running for each other. I think Everton Football Club will do very, very well to avoid the drop with Frank Lampard as their manager. If I was a director of Everton Football Club, I'd fire Lampard tonight and get somebody else in. It's that serious.
Yeah.
If they drop into Division 2, as I always call it, they face absolute financial Armageddon. Everything's going on with Russian funding and all the rest of it. They've got a new stadium to build. These players are not doing it for Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
They're not. And who can blame them? Because he's turned up, shown them his medals, and they go, "We don't care, mate. Yeah, we don't care." And he's got nothing else he can offer them. You know, anyone that watched his Chelsea team that he managed briefly, they couldn't defend for Toffee, and now the Toffees can't defend for Toffee. So what were the Everton directors who appointed him thinking they were hiring? Take us to the thought process that would explain why he would be a good candidate to manage.
It's a really strange choice, isn't it? I mean, normally you go for someone who's tried and trusted, been there before. It's a very, very odd appointment.
It's weird, and if he gets away with it, it'll be by the skin of his teeth. But I fancy one of either Watford or Burnley to just do enough, maybe stay up on goal difference or that nature. And I think Everton have done. I really do, and I've got to say, it's their turn.
Yes, to echo the words of a certain Terence Brown from many, many years ago. Indeed, it is 1954. I think the last time they were out of the top flight. So it certainly is their turn after 70 years or so. That's about it for this afternoon. We're going to wrap up there, gentlemen. Thank you for your company. We did have Noam ready to come in and join us. He's just managed to get a signal, but I told him we're going to wrap up. So he's scurrying off home anyway, and hopefully join us on Thursday after the game. Final word, gentlemen, on what you've seen today. Pinky, West Ham United 2, Everton 1, West Ham back up to 5th in the table.
Yeah, I mean, comfortable win for us today. Very, not a great game, but we did what we needed to do. And how many times over the years have we not done what we needed to do? The 5th in the table. We've barely been out the top 6 for 2 seasons. With the quarter-final of the Europa League. Happy days for West Ham supporters. Happy days.
Happy days indeed. Pinky, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Have a safe journey home, my friend. Rio, West Ham back up to 5th. We've had an uncomfortable couple of weeks, haven't we, out in 7th and then 8th place yesterday. Terrible. In the depths of the Premier League. But back up to 5th today. Your final word on what you've seen. I think we may have lost Rio. Rio, have we got you? Oh, there you are. Can you hear us, Rio? I'm not sure he can. So I'll tell you what, we'll wrap up. Rio, if you can hear me, just jump in if you can hear me. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap up the show. It's finished. West Ham United 2, Everton 1. Goals coming either side of the half for West Ham to win the game and condemn the Toffees to another demoralising defeat that sends them closer and closer to relegation. For West Ham, we're back up to 5th in the table, still in with a fight for the top 6, and we'll see what happens between Tottenham and Newcastle today. Man U doing us a favour, obviously, yesterday. Not much more to say about this afternoon, but it's going to be a very, very interesting week. And what a huge game coming up on Thursday night for the Hammers. Yet again, it's our biggest game probably of the century, to be fair. Maybe if you're discounting the FA Cup, maybe that's a bit harsh, but in 2006, but a huge game nonetheless. We are going to be here on Eyes Up Mother Brown. Pinky and Rio and Noam will probably be live from the stadium. Hopefully we can get them on again after the final whistle. So my thanks. We've got Rio back. Rio, how you doing?
Sorry, mate.
You've got us. Give us your final word, buddy, before we go on today.
Yeah, mate. You know what? I've looked at my personal record against Everton before the game. I've seen us play Everton 34 times. We'd won 6 of those. It's an absolute shocking record. And today we probably had the most comfortable victory we've ever had against them. And it's indicative not only Everton's woeful form and woeful mentality, but it's also indicative of David Moyes, what he's done at West Ham. We're a much more professional unit. So, despite the fact, as you mentioned before, like I lost you, but we've had weeks and we've dropped the surveys, which could have led to Torres' head and more uprisings against the board. We've weathered that storm and we're back up to 5th. And there's not a lot wrong with West Ham at the moment, is there?
No.
Maybe thin on the ground, but
yeah,
things are looking really, really good for this club.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. Been a great season. And of course, there's still plenty more of it to go. It's going to be a very busy month, gentlemen. And who knows, we could end up back in Sevilla in a few weeks' time. Wouldn't that be something else? My thanks to Pinky and to Rio for their company on this post-match special tonight. West Ham United 2, Everton 1. West Ham back up to 5th in the table. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Hammers. It's been a good one so far. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Take care of yourselves. We will see you all again very soon. Until that time, till we do. Oh, thank you also to everyone joining us on the live stream. Thanks for your company. Get yourself on over to the kumb.com match forum, or just the general discussion forum, match thread on the general discussion forum, and have your say on what we see this afternoon. We'll see you all again very soon. Until then, my fellow Hammers, take care and come on.